Really yelling at the top of your lungs?
No, I can't do that. I'm a soft girl.
Okay. Welcome back to Idol Talk. It's the host with the most, Fernando. And today I'm here with my favorite lesbian, Jasabel. Jasabel, can you please say hello?
Hello.
For those of you who don't know, Jasabel was the first Idol Talk guest.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first. One of the top 3, I think, Idol Talk guests.
Yeah.
I think
Awesome.
I think it was the first, because then you had you, and then we had our childhood friend Selena's, and then we had Chris Marie on, where she talked about like religion and trauma and stuff like that. So it's a very interesting set of guests to very start off Idol Talk. And I remember the first few guests you had on your podcast, which is, what's your podcast name?
Becoming a Sunflower.
Wow. Snaps.
I almost forgot it's been that long.
I was about to say, I said, I lobbed it to you, and you missed out on talking about that. So when you said earlier, we met up in Queens to shoot the 2 episodes that we did. We did one on your podcast and we did one on ours. Mm-hmm. And at the time, you were in college.
Oh my God, was I?
Yeah, and we were talking about.
Wow.
And it was funny because you were like, oh, I go to Mercy College, and now can like catch us up. What happened ever since college?
I work at the college now.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy, huh?
I know. And I actually became a mom. My baby will be 9 months soon. And I'm trying to go back to get my master's now. And life is just so different.
You said that in our podcast. You were like, I'm going to go get my master's. They give you like 5 years to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you were going to do you did your 4 years and you needed one more to do your master's. You're like, yeah, they give you 5 years to do it. So I'm going to try to do it.
Yeah, I did, right? If you're listening, please pray that I get accepted. Because I've been waiting for weeks and it's like making me super anxious. But yeah.
So you've got
that's life.
What you did, it's been 3 years, so 2 more years, and you wouldn't have made the cut.
I know.
For your +1.
Yeah, I mean, just talking about how long it's been since we last recorded, time is really just flying. I feel like I was just pregnant, and like every day that I wake up, I'm actually surprised at how fast time is going.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something I had to do, because if I would have waited, I would have missed that 5-year mark.
So I've got some notes in front of me from. I
Oh,
told you
God.
I did my homework on the previous 2 episodes. But you were going through YouTube graduation. Do you remember that? Your graduation for college.
I did graduate on YouTube. It ended up happening. Yep. We were the only virtual graduation ceremony, because the following year everybody graduated in person.
Wow.
Foul, right?
They never offered to do it again for you guys?
Nope.
Damn. Not even that you worked there. You'd be like, hey, that class that graduated on YouTube?
Right. Let me join the ceremony this year.
Yeah.
No, but that was weird. I was driving to take pictures for graduation, and I graduated in the car.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Were your graduation pictures by the sunflower garden?
No.
Well, I remember there was a photo shoot you did in like an actual like
in the sunflower garden.
The sunflower garden. The sunflowers are huge.
Yeah, no, that was actually in Colorado that I did that with Jacinda.
Nice.
Yeah. But I just took pictures in front of Mercy College. They like set up like a back screen for us for class of 2021 or whatever.
Damn, that must have sucked.
Yeah, it did. But it was nice. I'm glad I graduated.
My class of 19, we were like the last one before COVID hit. And I was like, damn, I could not imagine having to graduate like over Zoom or on YouTube.
Yeah, but it worked out.
Did it?
Yeah, like class on Zoom, internship on Zoom. I didn't have to leave my house.
Internship on Zoom?
Everything on
Zoom. Ever since
work on Zoom.
Yeah, I know. I was about to say, I'm like, you haven't left your house.
No. I've been cooped up at home for the longest.
That's why she looks like this.
You're so mean. It's hot.
So you mentioned Colorado earlier, and I was listening back to our podcast on the Adult Talk page, and you were like, I'm trying to get out of New York as soon as possible.
Oh God,
as
yes.
quick as possible. I want to do wherever I go. I just want to go out of New York.
Yeah.
So what was the foil? What happened?
If anyone has listened to Becoming a Sunflower, I did speak about how I almost moved to Colorado and it caused problems with my relationship at the time. And I kind of just chickened out. Like, I had a job lined up. Yeah, OD pussy. But I just chickened out. And I'm glad I stayed because now I have my son. But sometimes I do wish, like, damn, what if I would have just moved and, just started over? And I think it's better now because I stayed and I ended up making so many friends, becoming a part of, like, the community and doing mental health work and connecting with people. And now I feel like if I were to leave, like, I have such a community to leave behind as opposed to, like, leaving and just, like, never looking back. Because New York is home, born and raised, so.
So you wouldn't take that chance? You wouldn't be like, leave everything behind and everybody behind? If it came across all circumstances that you could ever want being met, you wouldn't take it anyway?
I love my people. I love everyone here. And I've grown, like, a closer relationship with my family. So, like, the level of gratitude is different now. Like, when I wanted to leave, I was so mentally unstable. And I'm still maybe a little mentally unstable, but I'm definitely, like, a more healed version of myself despite the circumstances. Yeah. And, at that point, I would have just did anything to feel better. And if it was not going to be, like, a really negative path, like, it had to be, like, leaving New York. But I worked through it. I went to therapy and everything worked out.
That's one of my later questions. Are you still in therapy?
I'm not.
Chance?
No. Insurance sucks in America.
So you wasn't even healed. They just said, oh, we're not cutting that check no more.
Basically, yeah. Like, hey, I can't afford next week's session because I started paying out of pocket and I just never went back. Yeah.
Damn.
Doing this sober.
So we're
raw dog in life.
Not with this fucking no joke ginger shot.
Yeah, and the second cup of coffee of the day. But we're doing it.
Okay. So 3 years ago, when we met up to do this podcast, it was Joanne and I's intention, aka Valdez the Don, to get a woman's perspective to kind of clarify things that maybe men would have misconceptions about. So that was our main goal for that episode. And he asked you specifically, what do you value in a man? And I'm not going to play your answer for you, but I do have snippets of other things.
Okay.
But I want to know your answer. What does that look like now? Because I did my homework yesterday. I listened to it, so I know what you said.
Okay. But I don't remember.
But I want to know what you're going to say right now.
In a man, I think just like in a relationship aspect. In a relationship aspect, I think now, I also didn't mention that I am a single mom now. So, in a future partner, like, I really do need a man that puts God before all, because in my perspective, beliefs and morals and values now, like, a man that doesn't know God doesn't know himself, and God is love. So I believe that if you don't know God, then you can't know love. Like, if you don't know what it's like to sacrifice and really dedicate yourself to something and have faith like that and something that you cannot see but truly feel, then I don't know, maybe you can't do the same for me, and especially my son. So that's definitely another aspect of my life that's changed a lot too.
I was going to ask, have you always been this religious, or is this something that over the past 3 years that you've kind of discovered about yourself?
I used to study the Bible like 6-7 years ago now, and then I took a break. And then I started back up again when I got pregnant. My Bible teacher reached out to me. She did not know I was pregnant, and it all just aligned so well. So I've been consistently studying for about almost 2 years now. And it's definitely changed my perspective on a lot of things, and most importantly, like, motherhood and how I want to raise my son, how I want to be as a woman, as a wife, like, before, if you would have asked me about like marriage and stuff like that, or even just having a kid in general, I would have been like, hell no. But now, like, it's something that I truly do want in my life. And, like, that's the only way that I see my future. Married, children. I want the house. I want the farm.
Children.
I want 3 kids. I just want so much, and family is a big piece of it. Like, I want me and my children to be good. I want to just have that.
Yeah. So speaking about, you said you are a single mother now, so this relationship change.
Yeah.
What did you learn from such a drastic change like this?
Well, when you're with someone for almost your whole life.
Can I give you the number? Because
Yeah.
3 years ago you were like, "Oh, I'm going on 7 years on this relationship." So
Yeah.
what is it? A 10-year relationship? That
9.
9,
Mhm.
almost a double.
It
digit?
almost made 9 years.
Okay.
But I think the one thing that I learned, and we're really great co-parents, great friends, and I have a lot of respect for him, and as long as my son is good and I'm good and he's good, everything's good.
Everything's good.
But the one thing that I did learn, I think, is I guess, I mean, he did help me grow as a person, because he met me as like this damaged teenager, that didn't even know how to come into someone's house and like respectfully say hello, shake your hand, wash a plate. Like, I didn't learn that growing up. So it's just simple things like that. But also the big things of like, speaking up about the things that bother me, and learning to be more vocal. And that's something I'm still working on. I write a lot of things in my notes, in my notepad, in my journal. And I'm just learning to, like, speak about what it is that's bothering me, speak about what it is that I need and require. Just yesterday, someone asked me, what do you require in a relationship? And I really had to think about those things. And
here's my paragraph of things I need to start.
Yeah, I gave them the list. But it's just things like that, and yeah, just respecting myself as a woman, respecting myself as a person, and just really putting more value on myself. And
it's interesting you say
prioritizing
that
myself.
when you said in our old podcast, you were like, the stuff you said you were continuously working on, you were working on like back then.
Those same things.
Those
that
same
I said,
exact things.
Crazy,
yeah.
because I don't even remember
and
that.
at that point, you were saying, I'm starting to work on these things. And right now you're saying, I'm continuing to work on. And I bring that up because I knew the answer before you said it, right? But I wanted people to kind of hear what continuous growth looks like, because I can link the old episode in the description just so people can hear that and compare it to this. It's fun fact, I did 2 collaborations that I was really proud with. Yours and my first collaboration in Baltimore, and it was like with Full Intellect and his podcast, Match Me Podcast. And I kept those in the Idle Talk links. Those are still up to this day. It's like yours is there, and then his is there, and then all of our new shit is there too. But it's 2 of them that I feel like if people go check out that link, they're like, oh, what's this? Who are these people? And it's an interesting thing that those 2 episodes are kind of similar in the way, like we get your perspective as a woman, and then we get his as a man who lived in Maryland for all his life, and coming as New Yorkers, it's like, oh, that's a that different kind of like vibe to him. So those are 2 like episodes I was really proud of. So I'm gonna play a minute clip of the old Idle Talk episode that we have.
All right, I'm ready. Let me sip my coffee.
Sip your coffee, because I'm gonna ask you, what did you take away from the old Jasabel? Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah, and just to add to your point real quick, healing is a journey forever. You're never going to be fully healed, and, growth is continuously, we're constantly changing. And every day that we wake up, we're new people. So to anyone that's listening, like, if there is something that you are working towards or have been working towards, and you feel like you're not fully where you want to be, just give yourself a lot of grace, because it takes a lifetime to really just be everything it is that you really want to be, you know, and you're always going to want to be more than that, even when you do get there. So have a lot of patience and give yourself a lot of credit, because it's very hard.
Okay, ready? Ready for this?
I'm ready.
Ready for the old Jasabel?
Oh, God.
You know, when I'm having a bad day, instead of just acting like a bitch, because honestly, that's how I can be sometimes. Instead of coming home and acting like a bitch, like, you know, sitting down, like, oh, babe, like, I had such a stressful day, and, like, him just being like, well, what happened? And, like, let's talk about it. And me communicating that there's something wrong, instead of me making him kind of have to do the mind reading and understand, because I used to be the type of person that was like, why can't he see I'm having a bad day? Like, why is he not, like, what is wrong with him?
Why don't you have superpowers?
Yeah.
Can't you see I'm visibly upset? You look normal.
You didn't hear my
and,
mind.
like, he had to tell me, well, you know, sometimes I don't know what's wrong. Like, if you're acting a certain way, like, you kind of also have to do your part in letting me know, like, okay, this is why, instead of just making everything negative without communicating anything at all, because that doesn't get you anywhere. And I've learned that.
Okay. Hearing yourself previously, what does 2023 Jasabel take away from what 2020 Jasabel said?
I'm still processing, but I think I would tell that version of myself, you know, to just keep speaking up and keep letting people know, especially when there's something that bothers you, because my whole life as like an abuse survivor, like I've always been shut. Like there's never been a point where I've just told someone no, or told someone like, hey, I don't like this, I'm uncomfortable, I don't feel good, or, you know, stop. And I think like now I feel like I have the ability to do that if there's something that doesn't feel good, that doesn't feel healthy, you know, and I can acknowledge it and speak on it. And I think I would tell old Jasabel to just keep working at that, and keep knowing that there's power in your voice, you know, like it's okay to speak up, you know, you are heard, you're seen, you're loved, you're safe even, and it's okay to share what's bothering you. It's okay to speak up.
I'm processing what you just said.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you remember this, but this episode that we did together kind of like changed my life in a way, where it was, you said, when people are talking, give
the silence.
them the silence.
Yeah.
And ever since that point, it's been like, I'm just gonna shut up and just listen, because you mentioned that not only does it help them, you know, get their point across, but it also gives them a chance to process what they're saying. And that has just been a complete like pillar to how I interact with people now.
Yeah.
So
Does it help?
it does help. It does help.
Good.
But sometimes I'll like, they'll be done and I wouldn't know what to say. And I'll be like,
now you can use that as an excuse when someone just has you stunned.
yeah, I'm like, I'm stunned all the time now, because I let my intrusive thoughts come and go, and I'm like, shit, I wanted to say something and I couldn't. But now let's bring it down to a less serious note. Okay. In our episode, you said, I clean for no reason. When you were talking about your space and you're talking about how people don't know how to clean, that you prefer to do the cleaning. So my question to you is, do you still clean for no reason?
Oh, God, ask my friends, dude. I'm always cleaning. But it's less compulsively. And I realized that, I don't know if I mentioned it on the episode before, but I don't have a lot of control in the things that happen. But when it comes to my household, I have full control. So if things are organized a way that I want, if things are clean the way that I expect, I'm in control. And that helps me feel better. And it's also like a good way to declutter my mind. And anyone, you know, you clean your room, you feel better. You clean your house, you feel better. And you kind of just get in a zone where you forget things that you've been thinking about. and it's motivating. But actually, since it's just me and my son now, it's a lot less to clean. I'm cooking less. I'm not really doing much. I work and then go about my day, but yeah, I'm not cleaning as obsessively anymore. But the house is still clean.
It
I
is
mean, what do
clean.
you
It's
think?
pretty clean. Yeah.
Yeah.
We came in and you're like, take your shoes off. I was like,
Yeah,
oh, I fucking
yeah.
forgot you're a shoes off person.
And if someone doesn't want to take their shoes off, I have the little shoe covers because you're not about to step on the floors.
That's right. I respect your choice, but here's some shoe covers.
They're cute. They're blue. Amazon.
Nice. And I remember you told a story that you had a roommate who didn't know how to sweep,
Oh,
and
God.
it was driving you insane. So
no
I just wanted,
roommates anymore.
I just wanted to let people know that you're that kind of obsessive cleaner.
Any future partner of mine that's ever planning to move in with me must know you have to be clean if you want to stay. That's it. That's it.
If you're not clean, you're not allowed.
No.
Anyway, now a little bit less serious note again. So you eat meat now?
I do. I'm so sorry. But big steak girl.
Wow,
Pregnancy did it.
that's so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
We're at this point, and you mentioned it in the episode. We're like, when we go out to eat, like, you gotta go someplace that I can eat too.
Yeah.
But now it doesn't fucking matter, does it?
Yeah, now it's good. I'm a lot less picky
Mm-hmm.
and more open to trying new foods and even just trying to cook different meats in different ways. And it's been fun. I don't know if I would have stayed vegetarian had I not got pregnant because it's just I'm not trying to say that there's no other way for protein, but it's just so easy to just put chicken on the stove,
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're pregnant, your body will crave whatever
It
you're
was.
lacking.
Oh.
So I was lacking a lot of iron. And because I was puking so much during my pregnancy, the smell of vegan meat was making me so nauseous to the point where I couldn't even open the package. So I literally had no choice. Like, I had to eat meat. And then once I started, I couldn't stop.
Damn. Did you think about like stopping at any point, like after the pregnancy was done? You'd be like, oh, let me go back to my previous.
I kept telling myself that I would, but
Fire.
breastfeeding, you still need all those nutrients. And again, this is not to say that anyone not eating meat can't do it, but when you're very crunched on time, you will literally eat anything to survive.
All right, now that we're gonna wind down, we're gonna wind back up. Okay, we're gonna
Oh,
listen to old
gosh.
Jasabel one more time. Let's see.
Play
what,
it.
Let's see what old Jasabel had to say.
Sometimes it can be helpful, but like you said, like a lot of times we just want to vent it out. Like, and being a girl, like girls, we like to gossip. Like we like to just spill the tea, like just to say it or like express how we're feeling about something. So when you're like constantly kind of like offering a solution, it's like, well, are you really listening?
Okay, so my main question here is for you:
Mm.
are you still a fake ass bitch?
No, I'm the
No.
realest bitch ever.
This is more of a joke question because when I heard it, you were like, "Oh, girls love to gossip, like to spill the tea," and my first instinct was like, "Look at this fake ass bitch."
No, but any girl that you talk to, like, there's not one that does not enjoy the tea. I know you've seen that TikTok of the guy in his passenger seat, and the girl is like about to spill some tea, and he
Yeah.
whole seat back and whole body turns. He's just ready. That's every girl. Spill it.
Spill it.
Spill it.
Spill it. Okay. We're gonna jump to the real cue that I had loaded up.
Okay.
So this one's a longer one. This is like a minute and like 12 seconds.
Dang, we were
Yeah.
just talking away on
And
that
it's
episode.
funny because that was like when we kept it like an hour long,
Mm.
and now like pumping out these 2 hour long episodes with Fabian is like killing me
Yeah.
slowly. I'm like,
Being a social worker, like we learn how to like I guess be good therapists, and like a lot of times when someone is venting, like the use of silence is actually beneficial because the person on the other end also has the opportunity to take in what they just said for themselves. Because when we let that out, like it's like writing things down,
Yeah.
like, and then we read it to ourselves. It's like, holy shit, like I just
Yeah.
was that what I was really thinking.
Yeah.
So like the use of silence can be super beneficial in like us taking in what's being said and you kind of just being there to listen. And like in addition to like the use of silence, just kind of like paraphrasing and summarizing like what the person is saying shows that you're listening. Like instead of offering me solution, like, yeah babe, like when you said that, when Sally said this and that made you feel like I felt that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that shows me you were listening and you really took in what I said and you're trying to understand how I'm feeling instead of quickly resolving to be the superhero, which is great, but like in any kind of therapeutic exchange, like it shouldn't be the first thing that you jump to.
Yeah.
So, what did you think about what old Jasabel said in this particular instance?
It's still true. I actually had a friend who, let me go to my notes app and see what was the term they used.
The tea is coming.
No.
The tea is coming. While she gets the tea, I'm going to take a sip.
Oh, please. I hope I. Reflective listening. My friend had said, and I quote, "You would make a great therapist because what you're doing right now is called reflective listening." Like, they'll say something and I'll kind of rephrase it back to them to show that I'm listening and then offer my insight after I've acknowledged, like, I hear what you said and now this is what I think.
Was that person a therapist?
Yes.
Interesting.
Mental health therapist.
Wow. And you mentioned in that clip you were a social worker. You were like studying to do that.
Mhm.
Like, how's that turned out for you?
It's good. I think the skills that I learned in the program have helped me just talk to people in general. It's helped me with advocating for mental health. And as soon as I go back to get my master's, which would hopefully be in the summer, I would be able to get licensed as a social worker.
So,
And
guys.
my goal is to become a school social worker.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of school? Like middle
Like,
school, high school, elementary school?
the youngest possible.
Oh, you're trying to get
elementary.
right to the
Yeah.
root before it
Mhm.
starts. Okay.
Exactly, because that's important. That's
Mhm.
when most of us require the most care, and that's when most of our experiences happen that really do shape the rest of our lives. Kid
Yeah.
gets bullied in elementary school, they're never the same. So it's just things like that.
I was talking to Fabian in the last Idol Talk that we just dropped. That was,
Mm.
and I'm gonna bring it up now because in the one we did, I was like, oh, I have these memories of my childhood, and 3 years later, I'm like, I don't remember shit about my childhood.
Yeah.
So I was trying to figure out with him, like, what the fuck happened to me in these 3 years that like I start to lose certain memories. Like at the time I was 22 years old, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember my mom coming in at like 9 p.m. to pick me up from daycare or whatever, and then seeing her and her struggles as a single mom, and we were talking about that. And then I was talking to Fabian, I was like, nah, up to this point I only remember like things I did in college. And like when somebody brings up something like from like high school, I'm like, oh yeah, that happened. But part of me is like, am I just agreeing with whatever this person is saying, or do I actually remember like what they're saying? So I think I need to like find the root of this problem.
Yeah.
I was like, I like had like a little like epiphany on the podcast last week, and I was like, I thought I worked through some stuff, but hearing
Yeah.
you talk about your stuff made me think like maybe I'm not through this stuff that I thought
Yeah.
I was through. So I think it was like an interesting.
A traumatized mind will repress a lot of memories to keep you safe.
From what?
From
From who?
we gotta find out. You gotta find out.
Well, let's bring it down a little bit. Let's get back to the fun stuff.
Okay, like being a lesbian.
Yeah, being a lesbian. But
I'm not a lesbian.
I remember at the time, it was me, you, and Joanne, and we were like, "Yep, we're part of the divorced parents club. All of us got no dads."
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to bring that up again. The divorced parents club. I was like, in my head yesterday, I was like, I should get like shirts.
Divorced child.
Divorced parents club.
You know, it's crazy. It's such a normal thing now, though. Like, I remember a few months before I became a single mom, I was seeing a lot of people that I know on Instagram, newly moms, or like their kids are toddlers and they're single now. And I remember thinking in my head, like, damn, I hope this isn't me. Because it just seems so normal for everyone. Like, it was just
Yeah.
more and more common. And it was scary because that's really just that's life right now. Like the same things that used to be normal back then where, you know, you marry, you have kids and you're with that person forever no matter what. Like it's just gone, you know, and it's scary. It's very scary. And though I want more children, I think about like I don't want to be a baby mama to a second person, you know? Like I really want to make sure that I'm with someone forever if we're having kids, you know? Because how fun is that? Your kid is with one baby dad and then the kid is with the next and you know a lot of people make it work. Accidents happen, things happen, but if I could prevent that from happening, like next kid I have to be married. That's it.
With the house first, like.
With the house and the farm.
And the farm. Are you ready to live that farm life, Jasabel?
I am. I think about
Wake up
waking up
at the crack of dawn.
at the ass of dawn, yes. Getting my eggs from my chickens, getting my milk from my cows. Yeah,
That's the life Jasabel wants
that
to
is
live.
the life.
When we did the first episode, was that the life you wanted, or do you think that's something
No.
new just now?
I think that's like a evolved dream of mine. Like I wanted so simple. Like I used to think I wanted like a townhouse or maybe just live in a nice complex or have a condo. But now I'm like, forget all that. I just want to have like my grass-fed butter, my grass-fed eggs. Like I want everything just calm. I just want peace in my life. I just want nature. I don't want to be bothered. I just want to be happy. That's it.
Jasabel is on the leave me alone time.
I'm in my Amish era.
Amish. Oh,
It's
man.
true. They don't engage in technology. They have no parts of the world. Like that's literally where I'm at right now.
Wow. So let's take a listen to the old Jasabel. I've got a few more of these. I got a couple.
This is
more.
actually the nice thing about podcasts because I probably would have forgot that whole conversation.
No, I mean I listened to it yesterday, and it was like a serious conversation that was going on, and I was like smiling like the whole time I listened to it. It took me like 3 hours to listen to this because I had to drive, and then I'd pause, take notes what I wanted to
Yeah.
talk about, and I was like, damn, that was so long ago, but like that was so fun. Like
It was, yeah, it was a really deep conversation.
and I was like, it's so fun to just listen back on it because every time I drop an idol talk, I cringe a little bit. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, how do
Yeah,
I hear
like-
myself?
Yeah.
But hearing myself in 2020, I was like,
Mm.
oh shit, that was me. That was me. That's
Yeah.
what I used to sound like. That's what I used to do and talk about, and that's how I used to think.
After this, I have a question for you.
Okay, so you want to ask it now or
Yeah.
Okay, ask it now.
How did you think about 2020, Fernando? That was 2020.
That was 2020,
COVID?
April 2020. Yeah,
We were out there just spreading germs to record this
I
episode.
think so, or at least it came out in April 2020.
Wow.
But let me show you actually before you ask
Okay.
that question. I'm gonna show you the pictures, the promo pictures, because they stayed on. I edited the Idol Talk on this iPad, and this is the same iPad that you have.
Oh my
And
goodness.
then just look at baby Jasabel.
Wow.
So happy at the time.
Am I not happy now?
Look at your face in this one.
Not happy.
Not happy at the time. But I'll let you ask your question.
Yes. So how do you feel about yourself from then as opposed to now? Like, is there is there any growth for you that you've noticed since listening?
Yeah, it all comes apart, and I'll throw you this compliment too. I was listening back to our episode, and I said, "Oh, at the time, I thought we were all pretty well spoken." Versus now, like a few years into doing it, I'm like, "Oh well, I think we're pretty well spoken now." I think before I was just giving myself a little bit too much credit, but comparing, just like listening to this now versus having a conversation like with you before we even started like talking about even sitting down again and doing another one, I was like, the improvements, I think, between just like how we speak and how we think has just been so like vast and great compared to other people that don't, I guess, have this outlet for themselves. Like for me, the exciting part is like with Fabian to maybe 2 or 3 years down the line for him to get to listen back to these episodes that he's doing with me now. It's like to compare himself, like, I can't believe I came this far, because it's truly is a diary, I think. And this is why I kind of started doing idle talks every day, where it's like it's truly a diary for me, where I get to express what I was going through in April of like 2022. And I was like, I was listening to myself in the gym, because I'm a fucking narcissist when I'm doing cardio, and I'm like,
oh, where are all these streams coming from?
Yeah,
Definitely not me.
Coming from me. And shout out to the people in Italy who listen to me too. There's 3 people over there.
Hit
that
me
listen.
up.
Don't hit her up.
I'm just
But
kidding.
I would like scroll through the menus. I'm like, what was Fernando going through in January? Click, and I'm like, oh, that happened. That was like life at that point.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting just to kind of see the actual growth, because we go through the old stuff you used to say, but I'm like, wow, this is how I used to think. This is how I used to live life. Like whatever these thoughts that were coming out, I meant those thoughts. And I was talking to Fabian. I was like, when we did the birthday party episode, he was like, oh, stop talking, we had to do an idle talk later. And I think that was one of the biggest issues with me beforehand. I thought the same way. And then I was like, I can't do that, because it eventually leads to like people disagreeing on what to say and people not wanting to continue to speak and do things. So I was like, no, I'm gonna be myself, and I can come up with something later. I can try to do something else later. But in those moments where like, instead of thinking about the content first, I now kind of think about the experiences first. So if there's a gathering, I'm like, I'm gonna be funny, and I'll talk about it later on the podcast. But this is gonna hit these people first. I'm gonna see how they take it. We're gonna have a good time. I'm gonna be in this moment more, compared to how I used to be, where like held it back a little bit. I was like, this is for the podcast. This is for the podcast. I'm not gonna be this funny or be this charming or be this stupid or whatever. But now I kind of like put the emphasis on like, let me get these memories with these people, and if I need to remember them, I could always just listen back to the podcast and be like, oh yeah, that happened. So I think that's what I've prioritized in my personal life now, where it's like, let me do the people thing. Let me develop some relationships that, maybe I put to the side because of the podcast. Maybe I didn't really emphasize it enough to kind of flesh out relationships. So now I kind of just work on that now.
That's good, and that's really important, because I feel like a lot of us aren't really present in our environments, in our bodies, even in our own minds. Like, we're constantly thinking about the next thing. So like, you doing that, like, nah, this is like content. Like, you probably just didn't know how to separate like business from personal. And it's probably nice, like, your friends and like the people around you probably appreciate you more, with that awareness, and like actively thinking about, how can I be more present with the people I love? How can we make memories,
Yeah.
So that's something to really give yourself credit for.
And I noticed that today.
Oh, sure.
With my friend BJ, we worked out, and
all the shout outs today.
Yeah, we were getting something to eat, and he was like, oh, I'll help you take these photos for a project I haven't announced yet. And I was like, all right, cool. And I'm thinking about it in my head. I'm like, I'm trying to frame it, and because he's actively trying to help me figure it out. And I put my phone in my backpack. I was like, I'm not present in this moment. And then we just like were eating, and he was telling me about his trip and his vacation, and I was like, oh wait, that guy's your cousin? He was like, yeah, you think he's like, I think some random DJ that I follow. And I was like, I didn't know he was your cousin. And then he was like showing me all these photos of like, because of the hard work his cousin put in to be a DJ. I think his name's Bonkers. I don't want to mess it up.
Is he from Yonkers?
I don't know. But
or it's just Bonkers like insane?
I think it's up to interpretation. But
gotta figure it out.
Gotta
and
figure it
put
out.
His stuff in the link.
Yeah, but he was like telling me about like, how cool it was to see him do things and to be with him in these different experiences. And I was like, I wouldn't have remembered this if I had my phone out still trying to figure out like how is this picture gonna look or how's this video gonna look. So it's just ultimately I think learning through 2020 of like not having the chance to make content because of how the world shut down and how things happened. I was like, all right, let me just slowly but surely start kind of like taking these experiences back instead of like fully focusing on like, is it going to be good on the podcast or is it going to be good a good clip on Instagram or TikTok. But on the other hand, because of TikTok and because of Instagram on separate occasions, it's been like validating where it's like the stuff that I do put out and that I personally believe is good or amazing content, I just to get one of it to reach so many people, whether it be talking about something as stupid as the TV being at 7 volume and people like that is loud as fuck, and then the people who are like that like it's got to be at 10, and then someone's within their own private section like, no, the TV's at 50, and I'm like, where the fuck do you live? Yeah.
How big is your TV? Because what does 50 sound like?
And then just hearing just the responses from people, and like there was one reviewer on Apple Podcasts where they were like, just the conversation and the dynamic between the two hosts is just amazing, and the different perspectives that they share has been something nice to listen to. And I was like, and I didn't catch it at the time. I didn't read it until recently, where I was like changing some stuff in the like boring parts of the Idle Talk page, and I was like, where has this review been this whole time? I wanted to. I felt at the time I was like, oh, I should have read it on the podcast, because that's what other podcast people do is read their reviews and shout out somebody. So I was like,
well, now if that person's still around,
if you're still listening, I will send you a shirt. Just send me your Apple ID that you left the review in, because only I can see the Apple ID. So don't whoever that is. But I will definitely give you a shirt. That's something that was pretty cool, I think. I was like, that's awesome. That's awesome.
That's so nice. That's really good. We got to bring Fabrian into another episode.
Oh, hell no. So, actually, that is possible, I think, because I told BJ this today. I'm going to leak some information real quick. Let's just spill some tea. So I'm heading down to Baltimore to see my friend Malik again. Yeah, he's been on the show a few times. I'm gonna rent out a studio. I'm gonna be like, we've got 5 hours to make an Idle podcast. Like, let's just go and see what happens. So I invited BJ today. I gave him a heads up. It's like a month away, and I was like, yeah, see if you can come. Let's we can make something out of it. Like, we'll be back. Well, we'll leave on like Friday. We'll be back on Sunday before. But I got to go back to work on Monday. I was like, it'll be a good time. It'll be something fun. And that was just one of the like many ideas that I had. I was like, we used to hang out as a group all the time, even though it was only the same 2 people planning to hang out. But we would have to, Fabian would have to like need like 2 months to request a day off, because he used to work at Whole Foods, funny or not.
No.
And yeah, you know how that PTO
oh God,
is like.
We all worked at Whole Foods.
Isn't that crazy? So
did I ever meet him?
No, he worked at he lives in New Jersey, so he worked at a Whole Foods in New Jersey. Yeah. They have Whole Foods over there.
No, I know. I used to work HR at Whole Foods, and one of my stores was in New Jersey.
Yeah, did you where?
Oh, Ridgewood?
Oh, no, not even close. But yeah, he used to work at Whole Foods there, and I was like, hey Fabian, we're trying to hang out in like 3 months. Can you take off?
Can you put us in your calendar, please?
Yeah.
If it's not in the calendar, it cannot happen.
It cannot happen.
Nope.
No, especially. But now it's easier. I'd be like, hey, do you want to do this next month? He's like, yeah, because he's had a better work experience. And
shout out to him for that.
Exactly, for that. For
growth for all
growth
of us.
for everybody. But let's hear what the old Jasabel had to say.
Oh, we still doing that?
We're still doing that, Jasabel. I think this is the right clip. Hold on. Let's see if we heard this one before.
Okay.
I like that you say that, because like if we're gonna train our kids, for example, to be open with their emotions, right? Let them know like the world is not always peaches and daisies. Like the world is going to beat you up. There's gonna be people like X, Y, and Z. Like you're gonna experience this, and that. But just give them that reassurance, like it's going to be okay. Like, and if you fail or if you get hurt, like it's okay.
Yeah.
So I think that that could be really beneficial, like when you hit people with like what to expect, and like kind of let them know though that, you know, when that happens, like you don't have to man up. Like it's okay if you sit with your emotions, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Heard a sniffle over there. What's going to happen?
No, I'm not crying.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Your eyes are very shiny.
Yours too. You
I know.
crying?
I heard your sniffle, and I was like, if you start, I'm gonna start, and I don't want to start.
I don't want-
But you,
I've done too much crying. I am done crying.
you're crowed out.
for now. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't have a particular question. I just have it there as soundbite 39 because
Oh my god.
that was 39 minutes into the episode. But
Mm.
the question that came before that was,
Yeah.
again, as men looking for the perspective of women, and just like you mentioned a great point. I think it's a little bit later. I don't remember, but it said you were like, women don't have the ability to just let it go, or just like internalize it and just like forget about it, as like how kind of men were taught to just like internalize it and let it go. Doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of gave us the permission to be in our feelings a little bit, because we left that after, because we got stuff to eat after the episode, and then we went our separate ways. So me
Oh, yeah,
and
we
him
did.
came back to the Airbnb, and we were
Did
like,
you guys cry?
no, not together. But we were like listening back. I'm like, oh man, that's such a like reassuring thing to hear,
Yeah.
and it's given me the platform to be like, when I ask people to submit their stories, their mental health stories, men specifically,
Yeah.
I've got a few, and I was like,
That's
I
good.
was like, I'm gonna do something with this.
Yeah.
But I was like, thank you for sharing. Like, thank you for sending me this, because just you sitting down to do it and talking into your phone for whatever amount. This guy sent me a 30-minute voice note
Oh wow, he really
about
vented to
his.
you.
Yeah, he did. And I sent him a shirt. I was like, hey, like ever since then, closer to this guy that I didn't necessarily take more than an acquaintance, right? Because he was the brother of my college roommate, and I was like, me and him are close because we're college roommates, old college roommate buddies. But just like hearing him be like every week, be like, oh, I love your episode. Oh, I sent this out. Like, check it out in the email, or da da da. And I was like, thanks for giving me a platform to receive this stuff.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I truly am like grateful to just, it'll give men an outlet to vent to another man, because we talked about it in that episode where it's like, he mentions a great point about a community later on, about having a community. And I think this podcast that we did the first time kind of established our podcast as a place that you could be like vulnerable with each other.
Safe space.
Yeah, safe space. Miss
Yeah.
Safe space over there.
Now that should be a shirt. But yeah, it's important, and if you don't give people that space, you know, there's so much that everyone goes through on a daily basis that they just don't talk about. Like, there's so many things people are battling in silence, and you would never know if you don't just simply ask someone, how are you? And like really mean it. Not the New York, hey, how are you? Walk away. I don't even care what you have to say. But like really genuinely mean it. Like, how are you really, you know? Check in with them. How's your mental health? How's your heart today? Like, questions like that go so far. Like, you have no idea what people are just like holding, and then they can finally just release, you know, because not everyone has a microphone. Not everyone is comfortable going into their journal, or, you know, just talking in general. So it really does make the biggest difference. So shout out to you guys.
Hearing your old self in that particular clip, what was going through your mind as you were listening to yourself talk?
I was definitely thinking about my son, and like maybe the day where he's going through something, and, you know, I really have to be the one, you know, and his dad is there too. But, you know, if this is our permanent life, you know, it's really just going to be me and him. You know, he might come home from school one day and have something on his chest that he may not want to share with me. One, because I'm his mom. Two, because I'm a woman. And three, because, you know, people around him might have made him believe that he shouldn't have those feelings. So I thought about how nice it is, like, having the mental health awareness and education for myself, so that when my son grows up, I can instill that into him and teach him how to manage his emotions and just feel safe with mama, you know, with anything, and just knowing that he always has someone to turn to, always has someone to talk to, no matter what it is.
So you mentioned on your podcast, the one we did together, about your mom being the hustler
Yeah.
of the family at that point. Whoever she was seeing or whatever couldn't step up, do whatever they had to do. And so I'm going to ask this to you. Is this the same route that you're going to take? Are you going to be the hustler and also do your own stuff and also make time for your son? Because in the tone that you said on your episode, it felt like maybe you were now in charge of handling those kinds of responsibilities for the other siblings you had. I think you were the oldest. Yeah, and we were comparing about you were the oldest and Joanne happened to be the youngest, and I was like, I'm the oldest but of two.
Yeah.
And so I kind of want to, you know, dig deep in your mind a little bit. Like, what are you going to do now that you're in a similar but different situation?
I think, like, I do have to hustle a lot harder being on my own. Not that I don't have financial support, but there's just so much more. And like for example, moving out of New York, that's not easy to do alone with a kid, you know. Buying a house, that's not easy to do alone, period, let alone with a child. So it's things like that that are going to make it a little bit harder to reach the goals that I do have for me and him. And, you know, I hope that I'm not alone forever. You know, I hope that I do find the right partner that can build and grow and accept us as a family of two, and be able to still do those things, but also know that I can do it alone too, the way that I've been surviving alone, you know. And I don't want to ever get to a point where mama has to work so hard she doesn't have time to hang out with me, or I never see mama, or someone else is raising my kid because I'm always working. So any way that I have to, like, balance out time for me, time for work, but also time for my baby, I'll do it, you know. And I think that, you know, remote work these days makes it so much easier. Like, I work from home now, which is not for long, but I have had the opportunity for my son's 8 months of life to just be here at every moment with him. And now I have to share him with his dad, but I'm still here no matter what. I don't have to leave the house and have someone else watch him in daycare until 5-6 o'clock at night, you know. And I will do anything to make that a possibility for our future, because I want to do things like homeschool him. Like, I want to be there for everything, you know. Obviously not 24/7 because the space is good, and like I said, I do share him, but I just want to be present. And I think a lot of our parents didn't really have that opportunity. Like, times were much, much different. And especially, you know, if parents without the opportunity to have jobs that can't be done remote. You can't do, I don't know what, like working in Dunkin'. You can't work from Dunkin' Donuts remotely, you know? So
You
there
try.
is, you could.
You
You
try.
probably could. Nowadays, I wouldn't be surprised. But it's just things like that. Like, I will do anything to make sure that we're good, but that my son is good, and that he never has to feel like a burden, or feel like I'm not there, because I want to be there. And, you know, I wish our family could work and we could do it together, and like we're both spending equal amount of time with him, but things happen, and I know that regardless, he's loved and cared for no matter where he is. So yeah.
Speaking about your son,
Yeah.
this last clip, you already heard it. I played it for you earlier when we were doing the production stuff.
Yeah.
So we're going to play it, let everybody hear what you had to say. And and you're gonna hear it second time technically. So I kind of want to
Yeah.
get your thoughts. Just as soon as you're done talking, you just jump in and
Okay.
just react to whatever you're saying.
Yeah.
I really like that because when you just let someone experience for their own, like it's gonna make them a tough person, yes, but like sometimes life hits you with things that you never thought possible. But if you kind of model like, this is the type of person that you should be with in the future, but when you go out into the world, people are like this. Like it gives them two different perspectives and allows them the option to choose like, okay, do I want to be like my Uncle Valdez or do I want to give in to all the negativity of the world kind of thing. So I think that it's important to, let them know like what happens in the house is not always going to be the case outside because they're going to have families of their own too and it might not work out and they may experience something that they've never seen in their own homes kind of thing. Like when I have a kid, I'm sure that it's going to be a different experience even for me because like we were talking about on the episode on my podcast
Yeah, go watch that.
um like I don't know what it's like to grow up with a dad in the house. So if I am having a kid and I expect the father to be there in their life, like that's going to be a completely new experience for me because I don't know.
You don't have experience.
Yeah, I don't know this. So
This is weird.
That's suspicious.
what's happening? Yeah, life is all about experience, but I think that when you are better equipped for what the world is gonna hit you with, it makes the experiences a lot easier
Yeah.
in a way.
So jump in.
It makes me sad. Makes me really sad because I really did imagine everything to be so different from what it is now. And I really, really, really wanted my son Avery to like grow up in a household so different from what you experienced, what his dad experienced, what I experienced. Like, and it sucks. But like I said, like, it doesn't always have to be where like, okay, just because mommy and daddy didn't grow up together in the house doesn't mean that he can't have that same opportunity because how I love him and how I show him love is going to demonstrate how he should love people and love himself. And, it's still possible, It doesn't have to be like a cycle that continues. Unfortunately, it continued for me in my family, but it's not the end, right? Like, we might have a man that steps in for us and becomes like a stepdad and mommy's husband and does show him how to love a woman like in front of him, and same for his dad. He might become married one day and do the same. But yeah, hearing that makes me really sad.
Damn. And you were talking about, you're going through different things unexpectedly. And when I heard this the first time last night, I was like, this is as unexpected as it gets.
Yeah. Yep.
Especially because
Yeah.
your intentions were to avoid kind of like repeating the same narrative over and over and over. But I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts now
Yeah.
as you've been X amount of months like this. I mean, what's gonna be what are your intentions now with like trying to instill in your son like this is not going to be you, or this is something that you can work towards, like you don't have to fall and repeat the same things. Like what are going to be some of the values that you want to instill in your son, whether he takes them or not,
Yeah.
but what are the values you want to kind of like put in him?
I still want him to know how important family is, like, and especially like going back to the subject about like reading the Bible and using that as a model for how we live our lives. Like, I really want him to still believe that, marriage is a thing and family is something that we have to take care of, and men should provide for women and be there 100% for their children and do all the things. Like, I still want him to know that and have that in him. you know.
Yeah.
And I want him to know that, love is the core of everything, whether in a relationship or not. Like, how you treat people with love, how you treat yourself with love, how you treat the things that you care about with love. If he has a pet, with love, everything with love. Love is really like the root of our entire being.
Damn, that's a heavy thing to say, man.
Why? Why is it heavy?
Love is the root of our entire being.
It
Yeah,
is.
I've never heard that. I've never thought about that way.
It is. And like, when someone comes into the world, right? It should be between two people that love each other. That's why, the correct way to do things is marriage and then kids and such, because we're meant to love. We're meant to create with love and raise our families with love.
Damn, that was a soundbite right there. That's a very important thing to hear, I think,
Yeah.
especially from a perspective of like I'm hoping that what people take away is like they learn something new.
Yeah.
That your experiences and 2020 Jasabel's experiences have kind of, maybe given the moment of like wait, like in their own life, like wait a minute, or like what's happening right now. Like I'm hoping that's what most people take away from this episode, and I'm hoping that people learn from, your experiences, my experiences, and just figure out how to make their experiences a much better one.
I hope, man. We have such a society where people just so meaningless with everything. Like, I want to talk to you for a month, but I don't want to be in a relationship with you. I have no intentions on loving you. So it's like, why are you wasting someone's time? Like, it's just hookup culture, club culture, all these things. It's really toxic. It's really toxic. And I think if more people had those morals and beliefs about family and those feelings of love for people, like, we could really improve as a society. And there would be less single mothers. There would be less broken homes and broken children, people using drugs, people looking for purpose, looking for meaning. It all comes back to love. That's
Love
it.
is the root of all things.
It is. I should just tattoo it right here.
Love on your
Love.
forehead. Jesus Christ. You mentioned time, and that was one of the big things that you mentioned in the first episode.
Time?
Yeah, time is invaluable. You can't get it back.
You cannot get it back. Nope.
And it's interesting that we kind of, as we approach the end of this episode, it's another thing you mentioned, time,
Yeah.
and the importance of time.
Definitely.
But before we wrap up, I've got some TikToks that I want you to listen to.
Okay.
They're pretty all over the place.
Okay.
But I just want to get your just general like opinions on like how you feel after listening to these people talk. And it's a
Okay.
very different range of people whose TikToks I've downloaded. But
Okay.
let's just take a listen to the first one.
How long are these TikToks?
One of them is 33 seconds.
Oh,
One of them
okay.
is
'Cause
54
those 1
seconds.
hour,
No.
not 1 hour, 1 minute, and
Yeah,
like
one
a
of them
half
is
TikToks.
one of them is a minute long.
clock out.
One of them is a minute long. So we'll
Okay.
see.
I'll push.
Pay attention. Pay attention, please.
No, you're absolutely right. Women can and do lie. My point is that the truth usually comes out eventually. Because the thing is, like, if you hoe around for too long, you can't run from yourself. You can't. You are who you are. You are your habit. So if you have the habit of sleeping around for 10, 15 years, like you're gonna go back to the streets eventually. Your friends are gonna slip up. Like the crazy stories you told your friends, someone's gonna say something. Like you don't think like girls talk, and eventually shit comes out.
That tea I told you about.
So that tea can backfire, apparently. What do you think? What do you?
Anyone can lie.
Mhm.
Anyone can lie, and I do think that what you do really does come to light, and especially when you're doing people dirty. Whether you tell them or not, like, people that are meant to find things out will find things out. So be very careful with that, and It's true. I mean, like, what do you really expect? 15 years of going around. You think the past's not gonna catch up to you? But I do think people can change. I mean, I hope no one's out there being a hoe for 15 years straight. But if that's you,
I hope you took
do
a break in
you.
the middle.
I would just say, do you?
Do you?
But
I thought
Be
her take was a little
careful.
negative. I think she was like a little bit too harsh,
yeah,
too mean about it.
it's hard to say because there are people who can do it, and I think as long as you're not hurting anyone, like, do whatever it is that you want to do, right? If you are not in a committed relationship, if you're not playing with people's feelings, like, do you? That's not something I would do, but you do you.
That's not something I would do. It couldn't be me, but
Couldn't
do
be
you.
me, but it could be you.
All right, next one. This one's a little longer, okay?
Okay.
So keep your attention span, please.
Some girls really do only talk to one dude.
See, and the funny thing is, right, come here. A lot of guys assume that girls are talking to multiple guys at one time, right? When in all reality, okay, girls are normally only talking about one guy. The majority of girls are talking to no guys at all because they simply just don't want to, right? The day in the life of a girl normally goes like this, right? They'll wake up, they normally skip breakfast. Their breakfast normally consists of iced coffee. Then they'll go to work, right? Show up just in time, like not late, but definitely not early. And then they'll come home from work. They'll have the one meal of the day, and then they will watch their TV show. Normally, it's a TV show they've been excited to watch, or a TV show that they've watched multiple times, right? Then they will stay up way too late, then go to bed and wake up and repeat the whole entire thing.
I only put this TikTok in there just for those last 2 or 3 seconds.
Oh my gosh. I mean, some of what he said was true, but I think it depends. Like, that's a very basic, normal life for most people. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not getting enough sleep as I should. I definitely don't skip breakfast anymore. That's the most important meal of the day. But I think when you cultivate healthy habits of, like, all right, instead of watching TV for 2, 3, 4 hours at a time, how can I make my life better? So whether you have to go to the gym, whether you're taking a walk, whether you're connecting with the friends, spending more time with people you love, or, you know, even taking time for naps, like, we got to do those things. But old Jasabel was definitely on Netflix 5 hours a day. I don't know so much about the iced coffee. I'm more of a hot coffee drinker, but yeah.
What's your 3 cups a day ass?
Stop.
No
2.
sleep. That's why you don't
I'm
sleep.
I'm a mom. Coffee can still
Scoff.
put me to sleep.
Eye roll for the audio listeners.
Whatever.
Okay, I forgot one more, I think. Yes, sir. I mean, ma'am. So this is the
ma'am.
longest one, okay? This is 4 minutes and I'm
On
just kidding.
TikTok?
This is a minute
You
and,
scared
and
me.
5 seconds.
Okay.
People are thinking it's like cheating or doing something major, but it's actually not. The real thing that predicts divorce, they find all studies that found that 90% of divorces can be predicted by this. It's when your partner is trying to connect and you reject them. What I mean by this is, say for example, your partner comes home from work and is like, oh, I'm so tired. And you turn around and say, why are you tired? What have you done all day? That creates distance. Or if they say, I want to watch this, and your partner's like, you watch shit shows, instead of saying, all right, cool, we'll watch it. It's little things like when they're trying to connect with you, do you respond and be like, all right, cool, I'll watch it with you? Or do you say, your programs are shit, and you create that non-responding to their emotional connections? It doesn't mean men and women, it's anybody. So if you see your partner sad and you don't even look at them, whereas a partner that says, hey, what's wrong with you, and responds to it immediately, responding to each other's bids for connection is what leads to a happy relationship. And people who don't, it's disconnect, and there's a slow divorce. Then it leads to cheating. Then it leads to looking somewhere else because you're feeling like my partner doesn't see me.
Thoughts about what she said?
I was thinking about how I completely forgot the part in the previous TikTok about girls talking to multiple guys and, like, not wanting to talk to guys. I think there's no in between. You're either talking to mad guys or no guys. Mad hoes or no hoes.
Mad hoes or no hoes?
Yes.
Wow.
But like
Heard
I
it here
said,
first,
this
and I don't talk.
society.
Women ain't shit. women ain't shit.
No, we are beautiful goddesses
They're
that
here.
need to be worshipped.
They're here
but
to hurt our feelings.
No. Y'all be
If you're
doing it
talking to a
worse.
girl right now,
Y'all be doing it worse.
if you're talking to a girl right now, you're not the only one. Just
oh
a
my
FYI.
gosh. No.
You heard it here first from
No.
one of them, one of their own
No.
betrayers.
But this society definitely is messed up. And it is to a point where maybe a lot of women really don't want to talk to guys. And truth be told, like in my personal life, like
Yeah,
I
you're a
would
brand new
much-
lesbian.
yes.
Born
Because
again
I would much
lesbian.
rather marry my friends at this point. But no, I'm still open to love and putting it out there. But that last TikTok.
She said, "I'm not out of the woodworks yet, boys. Line them up. America's Got Talent. Jasabel's the new bachelorette.
It's gonna take an audition for real, and a whole like interview with all my friends. But
Oof.
no, to
Holy
that
Trinity.
last TikTok, yes, to that last TikTok, love is compromise. You know, whether you two are very different, or like you really don't like something that someone's doing, or like watching, like not in a sense of like I don't like you clubbing, like I'm gonna compromise that. No, because what's like your what's the word for it, your non-negotiables,
Oh, yeah,
or
yeah,
things
yeah.
that you're just completely not comfortable with, like that should be respected in a relationship. Like, all right, I won't do that because that makes you uncomfortable, that makes you feel unsafe. But if it's something like, yo, you always watching comedy and I want to watch romance, like, all right, let's watch a rom-com, you know, meeting each other in the middle, you know, things like that. Like I could see
Not
that.
the rom-com.
That's just an example. But I think, yeah, it could be that way because it doesn't hurt to meet a person in the middle at all. Like, all right, we could go hiking if nature's your thing, and then we could catch a movie if movies are your thing, like right after the hike,
I
you
love
know?
movies. I love movies. That's my non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
Well,
I w-
Puss in Boots, so yeah.
Yeah, love that movie. But I went on a date and
To the movies?
to the movies. And I'm gonna just shout out some people real quick. So
You're going to shout out the date.
no.
What's her
no.
name? What's her name?
I'm not
What's her
shouting
at?
out
What's
the
her
date.
at?
I'm gonna bleep her name out. But her name. Why would she? There's a reason why I covered my mouth, Jasabel.
You were
so
not
people
at
can't
all
read
being-
lips. Let's do this again. We'll make this a blooper when I give you my iPhone code. Okay, ready? So when I say her name, I'm gonna cover my mouth. I'm gonna bleep it.
Oh, okay,
But
got you.
when I bleep
got
your
you.
name or your side, you can your whole lips are just out and saying their person's name.
You can put an emoji over my mouth.
Still. Anyway, I'll do the emoji
Okay.
a few times because you said it.
Hey,
but
girl.
my movie experience with her was terrible.
Why?
I don't know. Probably wasn't a fan of the cinema. Not even the movie. It was just like the experience. And I was like, I'm never gonna talk to you ever again.
Damn.
I was like, this is my non-negotiable.
You gotta movies.
I love movies. I don't care if they're bad. I don't care if they're good.
Oh
I just
my gosh.
I just like going, sitting down, and just like experiencing somebody else's work for 2 hours. And just
Are
being
you a
like,
popcorn guy?
I'm a loaded nachos guy,
Oh, okay.
or loaded fries. Loaded
Mm.
fries, pretty good.
Got you.
But
All right.
but shout out to Christian because he's my best friend, and we go to the movies all the time, and that movie experience is amazing. And it's like, this is
See, wouldn't you rather marry your friends?
my
They'll go to the movies with you forever.
they're not put that out there because I don't want to drop too much tea, but I think his girl's mom thinks that there's probably that's code for like gay stuff. I think like butt stuff. Like, oh, we're going to the movies. I'm like, again, the third time this week. I'm like, listen, girl, I got
Watch
that.
them.
I got the Alamo season pass. I mean, I get to go every day
Oh,
if I
that's
want
how
to.
serious you take it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I go. I pay $5 to get in, and that's it.
Not bad.
Yeah, but I pay $50 a month. $50 plus $5 whenever I go in. It's like a $200 a month commitment.
That's a lot.
So I'm
Have you done the math?
No. You can do the math. I went to 48 movies last year.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
48
Because like
movie.
$30 to go to the movies.
Yeah. So
You're
and
good.
even whenever Krisha can't go and my sister goes, and we have the three seat
48
bundle.
movies?
Yeah.
What did you watch? I can't even name 48 movies right now. Did you watch Megan?
I did watch Megan. I watched.
Can you dance like her?
No, never. Just the end of 2022. Megan, Puss in Boots again, Megan again.
You're just bored.
The Santa Claus movie that came out, Violent Night. Off the top of my head, any new movies?
Did you watch Don't Worry, Darling?
I did watch Don't Worry,
I
Darling.
love that movie.
Sonic 2 I watched. Love Sonic 2. Had to be some old movies that came out. Like there was this one about, I forgot what the name of it was, but I saw it with my sister, and because it was like a brunch showing. So I was like, oh, it's a brunch movie. Like it'll be fun. The girl died of diabetes, and I was like,
That's not fun.
I thought this was a happy movie. It was like leading up to happiness,
Yeah.
and then it was like, yeah, she's gonna go into surgery, and then it'll be okay. And she goes
And
into
it was not
surgery,
okay.
and then she marries a guy, and they live in a nice cabin, and like with their kid all healthy,
goals, yeah.
because she couldn't. Apparently, with her diabetes, she couldn't have children at the time. It was like set really like in the 40s or something, or like something way before that, and all of a sudden she falls down in the kitchen while making pasta. The baby's crying. The stove is like burning the pot. The husband comes in, and then they like try to get her like her medicine and like her blood work or whatever to save her. Her mom is there, and then she dies in the hospital after like months of like
What?
being in a coma. Yeah, and I was like, and I'm eating my sandwich. I was like, what the fuck just happened? We saw her grow up. We saw her talk about
Oh
like
my
like
God.
marrying her boyfriend at the time, like her high school boyfriend.
Wait,
And
was that who she married?
yeah, that's what she married.
Oh my god. What
And
a
I was
life.
like, no way, they just did us dirt like this. And then there's these 4 old ladies in the front,
Mhm.
and the side plot of it was the mom had her group of friends, and they were like living this life together, and they were getting old, and they made fun of that one friend who was like a man eater who never like settled down. And then she settles down with this goofy looking ass old man. And he's like, yeah, like I like you. Like, what's up? And the side plot after the daughter dies, and they're like trying to like be there for her. She just lost her child, and she has this grandson that is gonna need her grandma, and she was like willing to just jump into the casket with her daughter. She's like, I don't want to live here anymore. And her friends were like there to be like, don't worry, you got us. You've got your husband. And then the friend's like, well, he sucks kind of, but you got him.
He's goofy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was an interesting movie to watch, because I was like, ain't no fucking way they just did this to me. I was like crying in the movie theater. My
Oh my
sister everybody was
gosh.
crying in the movie theater, and then except the 4 ladies in the front who I think saw it when it first came out. And I think they were like the epitome of whatever they were trying to see in the movie. It's like, that's the 4 girls, the 4 old ladies that were in the movie. I'm like, that's their friend group too. They're like still friends up to this
Yeah.
old age. They're still going to the movies. They're hanging out together, and like I could hear them laughing in the front. Like she's like, no, I'm gonna pay the bill, and I'm like, let's get more stuff. Let's get more of that. And so I was like, wow. I mean, like, see it on the big screen, and I can see it in real life transfer over. And I think that's what's like beautiful about movies, where like just because you're watching it, consuming it, and it's not real, but underlining tones are real. Like this friend group that I was literally like right next to saw, I'm like, that's so crazy that they still like at that age still going out and doing stuff. So I was like, whoa.
Talk about being present and prioritizing time with the people you love. It's important, because God forbid the husband went out. Who would she have?
Her girls, her
Exactly.
friends, her besties.
Exactly.
And I think the reason why they were showing it, because it's like a cult classic.
And you don't remember the name?
It's like Mongolia something. Mongolia's something. It's like a 3-word title. But the only thing that stuck out was Mongolia, because it was like, who the fuck is named that? There was nobody named that, I think.
Isn't that the name of a bakery
I don't know.
in the city?
I don't know.
Sweet Mongol. No, that's a show.
But I was like, what was the point of this movie? I was like,
You're just there eating your sandwich.
I was like, why the fuck did this get sad? Like,
this took a dark turn.
it took a dark turn, and I was like, oh my god, they really did me dirt, because I was like, brunch movie, let's go. Like usually, like whenever they showed the first Scream, they're like Scream brunch, and they have like a little menu for it, or like some props or
At
whatever.
the Alamo?
Yeah, and
I gotta check the Alamo out.
and they were like, oh, it's like Mongolia brunch. And then when it's an older movie, like in this age, I was like, I always show my sister, hey, do you want to go? This like sounds interesting. they're like, yeah, let's go. And then we like left the theater traumatized. We're like, what the fuck? Like, why did this happen? So
That's so sad.
I know, I wasn't expecting to be traumatized at the movie theater.
Well, you went 48 times. It was bound to happen.
It was bound to happen. If it wasn't Puss in Boots, it was this movie. It really just violated me.
Going back to the previous episode from 2 years ago, it's not always peaches and daisies.
It's not. And I learned it the hard way.
Don't go to the movies.
Don't go.
48 times.
I'm trying to break that record. I haven't been.
Oh my gosh.
I haven't been this year, I think.
Well, it's only March.
I know, but I have to catch up. But
yeah.
I got the Draft House season pass in November.
And you You're a mess. Absolute mess.
That's when it became available again because they stopped it for COVID.
'Cause of COVID.
Yeah.
COVID.
But
wow, what a time.
What a time to be alive. What did we learn from COVID? Let's end the podcast on that. What did you learn from that? Because you were type anti-vax heavy.
Don't listen to the government.
You were anti-vax and you're like, yo, these
And
natural remedies. You know?
What happened?
I don't know.
What happened?
I don't know. Are you still anti-vax?
Yes.
You didn't get yours?
No.
I got mine. I'm a good boy.
Do whatever you gotta do. But, yeah. I mean, no one's asking for it anymore, so I didn't fold. That's one lesson. I never fold to the things I don't want to do.
Not me. I believe in science.
Okay, whatever.
God, you're out there, but you made science too for a reason, so.
No, there is a lot of scientific proof that like correlates with the Bible, so it can.
It can work hand in hand.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be one against the other.
Yeah. Interesting.
But yes, lesson is just really just appreciate everything. A lot of people lost a lot of people, and it just I think that all taught us to just slow down and just enjoy what's around us. Like people were quitting their jobs left to right. I remember I didn't go to work.
I quit my job.
Yeah, I didn't go to work for 2 weeks just because, and that whole 2 weeks I spent it just hiking in nature. And it felt good.
I quit my job. I got a new job.
Was
and
it
then
Whole Foods?
Yeah, I quit Whole Foods.
You and everyone else.
And then I went to work for the Yankees, and so I got my training, I got my ID, I got my clearance, I got my little desk, and I was like, cool. And then they're like, don't come back, COVID. And I was like, okay. But they sent me a stipend every month. It was like
still?
No, like at the time. So when I was like on that road trip, I was like, that Yankees check came in yet?
Oh my god.
Yes, sir. Living large. And I had just got to accepted it to grad school at the time, and they sent me a big fucking fat check too. And I was like,
that's good.
Let's fucking do this. Like, let's go. It was a lot of money actually.
I didn't get not one check from nobody.
It was like $20K. It was a lot of money. Yeah.
Your school?
Yeah.
You gotta teach me your ways. How did you get money back from school?
To this day,
grad school.
I don't even know. But it was like, cause I at that point I was finally taxed on my own, so I applied to school as myself instead of like, oh, where's your parents' tax returns? I'm like, no, here's mine, and they were like, you're poor, and I was like, you right. But yeah, you gotta file as your own for FAFSA and stuff.
Yeah.
That gives you a better chance of getting a lot more stuff.
Please help a mama out.
Well, drop your hashtag, Jasabel. Drop your hashtag.
Oh fuck! What is it?
You don't even know it.
I don't even know it.
If
Nobody's sending me money.
that was today's Idle Talk. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And you missed your opportunity to plug your hashtag.
Damn, we'll put it in the link.
No, never. Don't send her any money. Send me money.
Oh my gosh.
But I'll see you with Fabian on the next Idle Talk. And whenever we see Jasabel, maybe never. We'll see.
Oh, goodness. Thank you.
Boom.